Well, thank you for agreeing. Let's go over the consent form. So this project is called the Native Hawaiian Activists as Role Models Health. That's the title. I'm Dr. Vaughn, and I'm working with Dr. Lynette Cruz. And this study involves research. The purpose of the research is to understand how political activism impacts the health and well-being among Native Hawaiian elders. We are interested in whether political activism may serve as a possible coping mechanism from racism and discrimination among Native Hawaiian elders. Systemic race discrimination is pervasive, and Native Hawaiian activists may provide insight into behaviors that may counter that harm. We're inviting people to participate because they self-identify as Native Hawaiian, 2, identify as an activist, and are 60 age or over and reside in Hawaii. Do you meet those requirements?
Nope.
Okay. Which part?
Because I'm not Native Hawaiian.
Okay. So how do you describe yourself?
Kanaka Maoli.
Okay. Are you comfortable with proceeding with the study?
Sure.
Okay.
As long as you refer to me as the Kanaka Maoli.
Okay. We will change the language in this. So there's going to be 3 parts of this. The first part is a 60-minute interview. It doesn't have to be up to 60 minutes, but we give you 60 minutes to answer questions that are about your activism and how you believe that has impacted your health and well-being. The second part is a 15-minute survey, which will be measuring your level of activism, perceptions of everyday discrimination, social connectedness, perceived stress, and your levels of activism. And the third part is a 10-minute debriefing where you will sign for payment and we can talk about what you thought about the study. The study involves possible risks. This risk includes discussing strong emotional responses to discrimination, political actions, personal health, and social and political economic issues that face the community. If you need more emotional support, you can call Hawaii Cares Hotline. We have a phone number for you. Benefits, there may be no personal benefits for you in participating in this, but we hope that the data in the future will help us understand health and well-being and the community. This won't cost anything for you to do, but for your time, we would like to give you a $100 gift card. Confidentiality in this part, I want to tell you what's going to happen to this data and ask you if you have your consent to 1, record the audio file, video file, if we can take notes, and if you would like to use your name instead of staying anonymous or confidential. And at any time you can pull out the study. You can also decide if you want us to let us use this data in the future for studies beyond this one. And that is it. We just need you to sign. We can get started. Okay, this is the start of the interview, the formal interview. So we have about 10 questions, but we just like for you to answer them however you want. There's no wrong or right way of answering these questions. So the first thing is, will you please introduce yourself, your age, and what island you're currently located on?
My name is Carol Lee Kamekona. I am 66 years old, and I currently reside in Kahului, Maui, Hawaii.
Can you describe what you do as an activist and how long you've been involved?
How long? I really don't know. What do I do as an activist? Pretty much whatever the kahiat requires in order to, most especially, protect our ibikupuna. Also, whatever our community needs, a good representation of that is the most recent natural disaster that has happened, which were the wildfires in Lahaina in August of this year. To today, 4 months ago. Working with our ohana, providing the necessities, basic necessities that our government is severely lacking in providing. It's a basic right to life, something that unfortunately the government is not understanding and not providing.
Thank you. What motivated you to get involved
In
all of the things that you do?
so, would you mind if I digress a bit?
You can go anywhere you want.
Let me start by saying I am diaspora. I grew up on Mokuhonu. I grew up with the narrative that the Po'ehauli put forward. The only education I got was of Don Ho and Duka Hanamoko. And the fact that we became the 50th state in 1959. That's my basic education of who I was. My dream was always, when I had kids, I wanted them to come home. I wanted them to know the koko that flows within the kino of their identity, who they are. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to bring them all home. But those that did come home, in varying degrees, learned. It was from my youngest when he came here and he learned. He was mentored by some very strong Kanakakane that taught him what it was to be like a Kanakakane. In that, I learned what I always dreamed my kids to learn, and that was my identity and who I was as a Kanaka Maoli. To know that I had put my life on the line for 22 years for a country that did what they did to our people tears me apart. Knowing that truth is what drives me to the activism that I do now. My passion, the protection of our iwi kupuna. The greed and the profit of Po'ehauli, who come to my homeland and desecrate our kupuna. That's my passion. That's my activism. That is why myself and many others are involved in several different contested cases to ensure that developers do what is right for our kupuna. Not to say that we are against development, but smart development is what needs to be done. Our people never believed in a cemetery like the Western perspective. Polynesians would bury their kupunas in their yard. Many battles happened. And in those battles, many have passed. So our kupuna are all over our aina. Do we go to Arlington? Do we go to Pearl Harbor, Diamond Head to desecrate? No. So why do they come here and desecrate and think it's okay? Because they want to build $3 to $5 million homes for our people who cannot even afford it. That is totally Heva law. So again, learning the truth is what drives me to my activism.
Can you talk more about some of the current cases that you're involved in and what you are doing?
Probably to some extent, not really,
Okay.
because of the levels of or the stages of where they are. But
Okay.
like that,
Like that. Looking back, what do you think is the impact of this work that you've done on the community and issues that you care about?
awareness,
Awareness.
bringing to light to many of our people the complacency that they have accepted, the truth that they have accepted. That awareness needs to be first and foremost. We constantly need to be reminded, this is our homeland. This is our Aina. Why do we have to bow down to the Turai or to the Po'ehawali? Why do we have to leave because we can't afford to live here? Everybody that came here came from someplace else that they can call home. This is our home. We have no place else to go. We need to protect it. We need to malama. We need to take care.
How has this work impacted your health? Do you feel healthy in your well-being?
Working with Iwi Kupuna, honestly, for me, whenever we do anything involving Kupuna, it takes a toll on me physically, emotionally, and spiritually. My sensitivity to Kupuna is what makes it. It's what drains me. But I can't stop. Because if I do, then who? Many of us that are in this are pretty much kupuna ourselves.
Yeah.
We need young blood to step up. We need our young generation to follow in our footsteps, to hapai the kuleana that we have carried from our kupuna.
You've been protecting the EV for how long?
I don't know.
It gives you purpose? Deeper than purpose?
It just angers me that our kupuna have to sacrifice themselves in many developments that are happening Kopai Aina to say, this is Heva, not for ready. We don't need to be another San Francisco. We don't need to be another New York. We don't need to be another LA. Leave us how we are. We're an island. You can't do to us what Kamekona has. You can't.
How have you seen Maui change?
Unfortunately, powers that be have put Kala as a high priority over Kanaka. Especially since the wildfires. So many have left the islands because evident, yes, they lost their home. Yes, they might have lost loved ones. Yes, they lost their cars. Yes, they lost their jobs. But there's nothing here. Government has not stepped up in 4 months. When will they? How much longer do we have to wait? Our people can't survive on nothing.
But you've been taking action also, right? Since the fires,
Yes,
you've been helping,
yes.
contributing.
I do what I can do with the limitations of my health. Many people at the onset wanted to know how they could help, how they could donate, how they could support. So I utilized my address as a delivery point. And people from all over would mail things from Amazon to me, or they would buy things, or they would go to Walmart and shop, or they'd go to Walgreens and shop, and I'd just pick up. Or even around Maui, with the exception of Hana. Sorry, not going to drive to Hana. But upcountry, south side, central, I would go and pick up supplies for people just to deliver to our hub in Kaanapali. That's the extent of what I can do now.
How do you feel when you're able to do that? To deliver supplies?
It may not be much, but to some of the families, it's a lot. Yes, it is everything for them.
It's everything.
I've also been working with another organization in shuttling the ohanas that have been going from hotel to hotel. Also been providing what I can to an entity that is helping our houseless and our displaced ohanas. So just doing what little I can.
And it's having an impact. Connecting you back with people in the ohana. Yeah. So you do this work with others too, right? So how do you feel when you're working in the community with other activists? Like Uncle Ash or Auntie Claire? How do you feel?
It's good to know that there are people out there that have that same drive as I do and want to do what we are doing. But again, it's unfortunate because the awareness needs to be brought forward. Community needs to get involved, and they can't get involved if they don't know what's happening. So the kahea needs to go out and let them know this is what is happening. So they too can help protect and preserve for our 7 generations. Our kupuna fought for us. That's why we have what we have. But if we don't fight for our kiki and our mo'os, what will they have to show?
A lot of this work has taken a toll on you. Sounds very painful. Can you think of things that you've been doing, events or activities that make you really proud that you're involved, that you're fighting and working? Just looking back.
Just knowing that the little we do is maybe not preventing, and I wouldn't call it stalling, but holding back the developers from moving forward in a quick pace, if that makes sense.
Slowing them down.
Yeah, slowing them down, not intentionally, but just making them understand that, you know, what you're doing is hurting me. It's hurting my culture. It's erasing my history. And that's what you need to be aware of. What you're doing is desecrating my cultural sites, my historic sites, the identity of who I am.
Do you do this work to express your identity in a way?
Is it a way? Is that what you're asking?
Because you said identity a couple times already, so I was just wondering if you would expand on how important your identity is and how it facilitates or motivates the work that you do or the way you see life.
My identity as a Kanaka. To know that this is my aina. This is what our kupuna fought for. I can't lose that. Because I'm nothing else. That is who I am. Without it, what am I? Who am I? How can I exist?
Has engaging in any of these events or activities caused you anger or stress?
Nothing that's over the top, wanting to commit any harm or anything like that. Just knowing that something has to be done.
Yeah.
Just getting to that point that you can't just sit back and be complacent.
Yeah.
Have to do something. Because if we don't, then who will?
Yeah. How's your health right now?
Not the best.
Does the work that you do, how do you think it impacts your overall well-being? The activism that you do, the Aina work that you do, the community work that you do?
My biggest compassion or passion, as I mentioned, is the protection of our iwi, and that's what really takes a toll on me.
Yeah.
The huaka'i that we went on yesterday, by the time I got home, I was out like a light. Because they really take a toll on me.
So, like physically tired, mentally tired?
Mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
But at the same time, you're called to be with them, to listen, to remember them.
Okay.
Because when you don't do that, do you have any reaction when you're unable to do that?
I believe when the kahea comes from kupuna,
Mm-hmm.
it is to those who hear and listen. They won't talk to anybody who has no interest. To me, it would be a waste of time.
Yeah.
And that's why I say those that we are involved in this are very few and far between. Because they're just not listening. Life is not affording them that opportunity. Especially now in our current situation economically.
Do you feel like it's a privilege to be able to do this work?
I'm honored
You're honored.
that kupuna have chosen me. I never knew the path I was going to be on coming home. But I heard the kahea.
You heard the call. Is there anything else you would like to tell me?
No,
No?
I think I said enough.
Okay. Mahalo. Thank you. This part is over.
Na'okohaole.